Rebecca. This is our first video on our channel, Oh Taste and See. And today we are filming our first video, and we decided to make this recipe, which I like to call Easy Weeknight Mole, because it's something that I make for my family regularly. And it's far from anything authentic, but when you have a hankering for chicken mole during the week, it does the job. And it's really delicious. So let's get into it and I'll show you how I do it. So for this recipe, I like to take bone-in chicken thighs and trim off any excess fat, like you see here. I'll trim that off. Throw that to the side. And I do like to remove the skin. So I'll just kind of follow my knife along the edge and gently trim that off. This little flap of fat, I like to trim that off as well. I'll usually flip it over, and sometimes there's some extra pieces here that I missed. Go ahead and take that off. And I'll set that to the side. Then I'll go ahead and do one more. I'll kind of run my finger along the underside of the skin, take my knife and kind of make a cut there so that it's easier to pull back. Cut up any excess fat that I may have missed. And just like that. So you see that I have these two here. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my chicken just the same way. So these are the ingredients that you'll need for today's recipe. I have some bone-in chicken thighs I've already taken the skin off of these. I have about 10 that I'll be using today. Salt, pepper, and any other seasonings you want to use for your chicken. I have half of a circle of Abuelita Mexican chocolate. You can use any other brand as well. 2 tablespoons of creamy peanut butter. 2 tablespoons of chipotle sauce. I use La Costeña brand. I'm going to be using about 1 to 2 tablespoons of bouillon. You can also use a Nor Suiza powder brand if you have that on hand. 1 jar of the Doña Maria mole sauce, and about 2 to 3 cups of chicken stock. So these are the spices that I like to use when I make this recipe. I like to use salt, pepper, some type of an all-purpose seasoning. I have Johnny's here today. Garlic salt, onion powder. You can use a combination of any of these, or add in or take away any that you don't like. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. And what I do next is I will go ahead and flip these over and season the bottom side as well. Okay, so I have them flipped over now, so I'll go ahead and season the bottom as well. Just the same as I did the top. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and use this pan. It's just about a 12-inch, a little bit deeper pan. You know, a little deeper than my regular frying pan that I have. I have it on medium low right now, and I'm going to go ahead and let that warm up. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the entire jar of this Doña Maria mole sauce. And go ahead and get that go ahead and start warming that up here on the stove. Once I've added in the entire contents of my mole jar, I'll go ahead and fill this up 3.5 times. I like to use chicken broth. I know you can use water also, but I prefer to use chicken broth, so I'll go ahead and put about 3.5 of these, which ends up being about a little over 2 cups. There's about half in that one, and I'll throw that in there. At this point, I'll go ahead and add in my chocolate tablet and let that go ahead and melt down into the with the mole as well. And as it starts to melt down a little, I'll take a whisk and kind of just help it along, kind of mashing it down a little bit. And that should take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Just leave it on medium-low, and it'll go ahead and do its thing. Okay. So it's been a little over 5 minutes now, and as you can see, the mole and the chocolate has pretty much melted down into the chicken stock. So at this point, I like to add in my peanut butter and my chipotle sauce. Now, the chipotle sauce you don't have to use. I do like it because my husband and my kids like a little extra kick. It does add a little smoky flavor and a little extra spice, which is why we enjoy incorporating that into this recipe. But I'll go ahead and add in that peanut butter now. And now I'm adding in the chipotle. And you can also buy the can of chipotle peppers and just use the sauce if you'd like. I just happened to find a can of just the chipotle sauce at my grocery store. So that's what I'm using today. Okay, so now that I've added those 2 ingredients, I'm gonna go ahead and wait another 5 minutes until they're well incorporated. And at that time, I do like to taste it for salt, for seasoning. And if I feel like it needs any more salt or seasoning, that's when I'll go ahead and add in my chicken bouillon and add in maybe a teaspoon at a time until I feel like it's the right flavor or level of salt. And you can do the same. So now you can see that the peanut butter and the chipotle sauce have been well incorporated with the mole and the chocolate. And it does have good flavor. I'm just gonna add in a tiny bit of this bouillon just to give it a little more seasoning, a little more salt. So I would say about half a tablespoon. So I'll go ahead and let that melt in, and then we'll go ahead and put the chicken in there once it comes to a boil. So as you can see, it's bubbling now. I did raise the temperature up to about medium. So I'm gonna go ahead and start gently placing in my chicken thighs. So I do like to cover them with the sauce and just let them kind of simmer in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. Checking on it every 15-20 minutes. And at this point once it reaches bubbling after I put the chicken in, I'll go ahead and lower it again to maybe a medium low. And I'll cover it. Okay, so it's been a little less than an hour now, and we've had it simmering at about a medium-low heat for about 50 minutes. So as you can see, it's still bubbling. I just turned it off, but it's still bubbling. But the meat is very tender, and some of it is actually falling off the bone here. So we're ready to serve now. Let's give it a try. Okay, so we've plated up already. It looks delish. So I'm about to go in and try it. So let's give it a whirl. A little bit of rice, some of the sauce. Makes for the perfect bite. Mmm. That is delicious. You guys should give it a try.